Today you're in for a bit of a treat, to be honest. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time. It's essentially a high tier guide for getting better in Battlefield 5. Some tips and tricks that will really help improve your game, and not the usual you need to take this weapon or you need to reload at this time. We're going to be looking at some really good clips from one of the best players, if not the best player in the game, who actively plays and streams so you can get access to his footage on Battlefield 5. I'm talking about Enders. He's a friend of mine and somebody who I think definitely deserves a bit of credit in the community for his ability on Battlefield 5. There are loads of good players out there, definitely, but Enders is one of my favourite to watch. Just so you get an idea of the sort of stats I'm talking about, not that stats are everything, but it is important to know. You can see in the background he's a 6KD player, really high score per minute, win percentage usually very high, plays in pretty much all the classes, great accuracy, does pretty much everything you want to see from a Battlefield player, and consistency is the name of the game. He's good across all the classes, a 6KD in every single class, medic, assault, support, recon, doesn't really play in the tanks all that often, and plays a little bit in the tanks and planes, but not a whole lot. But still, he's pretty decent in those as well. So a great player, one of the best in Battlefield 5, and I've got some clips from him in the background, so you can check those out alongside some really useful information for improving your game. This isn't designed at players who aren't really bothered about improving, it's designed at those players that want to get better clips, they want to get better score, they want to be at the top of the scoreboard and become a really good player in their team. So in the background we have a clip on Devastation, and this is the first clip I want to talk about. It's all about target prioritization. Certain targets need taking out first, even if they aren't the ones that you're initially aiming at. This clip shows Enders behind a little bit of cover, a little wall, and he's taking out players one by one, which looks really simple, but when you think about it, it's the only way to survive. He's taking players, he's trying to get himself into positions of strength where he can peek from behind cover and then take out an enemy player. Now if we watch that one back again in slow motion, it's the last kill that really separates this from a lot of other players. At the end of the clip, an enemy player is running up to get an angle on him, however an aggressive push removes that threat. It's quite risky, but it's the only chance to kill a player in that situation. Even on low HP, it was worth the risk as he balanced the risk and reward. Leaving that fight and allowing that player to take the better position would result in a far more difficult angle to defend, and throughout that clip you could see 1v1 engagements being kept at 1v1 engagements. You achieve that by limiting angles, so only letting a player see you from one angle, so if there's another player behind you, he will never be able to see you because you have hard cover behind you. Moving on to clip number 2, and this one's slightly longer. This one shows some really good flag play. Quite typical stuff really from a player playing on Pacific Storm, where you have to run through all of these very difficult to navigate areas where you can't see a lot of players. You rely on good visibility if you can find it, and then of course 3D spotting to help you out. Again, in this clip you can see Enders is limiting his exposure to enemy players. He's trying to stay in cover as much as he can, getting a bit lucky with the tanks, as you often have to do on this game, and trying to stay in a position where enemies are only going to be coming from one or two directions at most. He's also getting loads of kills. As I said, this isn't just about staying alive, it's about getting loads of kills, so you do have to improve your accuracy if you want to do that. There we see him drop a smoke just to limit that line of sight, dropping a double smoke in case it doesn't quite do the job, to prevent that tank from getting line of sight on him. Again, he's not pushing into these enemies here. He's not rushing into the objective. He's staying outside the objective, just killing as many as he can before making that move into the objective. It's all about making yourself very difficult to kill, but at the same time pushing up with your team at the right time, making sure that you push into the objective at the appropriate time, bit by bit, making up more and more ground, killing as many enemies as you can. And if you're one of those players that can't get a lot of kills because your aim isn't that great and it's something you're working on, just support the players who you see doing this, and as time goes on you'll be that guy who picks up more kills as time goes on. A really nice clip, that one though, pushing into Bravo. As you can see, lots of enemies still left on the objective, so just slowly working his way around this building, picking off as many as he can, hoping that his team will push up. Here you have a friendly that he needs to revive. He's just checking if the coast is clear. Could have dropped a smoke, but he is kind of behind cover here and concealed. Again, getting another friendly picked up, keeping as many players on the objective as possible. Clip 3, here we have a nice one on Devastation, pre-aiming areas and peeking at the right time to try and catch people in a bad position. This is all about patience and awareness. Now, a lot of people here, including myself, would rush into the objective, straight into Charlie hunting players. Instead, Enders is being smart. He's using this bit of hard cover here, this pillar, to hide behind. And you may have seen this clip in the top plays. It's really quite a nice clip that I had to show because it was so good. This is quite good in terms of his aim. A lot of people won't be able to do this because it does require good aiming, but the principle of staying behind cover and letting the enemies come to you so they're out in the open is what it's all about. A really nice one for anybody trying to get better in situations like that. Clip number 4. This is a slightly longer streak on Devastation, and throughout a lot of this, Enders is using parts of the map again to cut off angles from people so they can't see him. He moves around the flag to constantly be in a better position than enemy players, and that means that you've got better elevation, you've got better cover, you've got better routes to escape or to move around or to flank. It's all about having the best position. He's also using audio a lot, so I'm going to let this one play in the background. So he's aware of where enemies are, and he's using that audio, if you're lucky enough to get good footsteps in Battlefield 5, to help him out. There's a bit in this as well where he almost dies to a guy with a 1907 as he gets caught in the open. He slides and turns while sliding to make himself a more difficult target to hit, switches to his pistol to kill the Type 2A that pushes him, and he's also out of ammo, so he has to hunt another weapon to help him out. Enjoy the clip. I'll turn the audio up.
No, we have lost objective Amiens. Be aware, we have lost objective data.
Here we have a clip on Fiel 652. This is a clip that shows very good awareness and also close quarters and the importance of making use of everything in your arsenal. Enders is always aware of what's going on around him. He's peeking certain angles to keep it at 1v1s most of the time, which again, something we spoke about earlier, very important. And he's always looking at the minimap as to not expose himself to players who have an angle. He's not looking at too many players at once. You'll also see him pull out the dynamite at some part during this clip to nuke as many players as he could, as the loadout he's using isn't ideal for close range. So sometimes you do have to use dynamite and your sidearms, as we see the dynamite there, to make up for the fact that you don't have a Type 2A or a Suomi or an STG or something that's going to blast enemies at close range. Again, he's making use of this bit of cover. Throughout this clip, he's not moved. He's sat behind this building. Loads of players would have run around hunting kills, but Enders has got the most kills out of anyone on the server because he's not moved and he's just let the enemies come to him, and eventually he does get taken down, but that was a huge amount of kills in that clip. Here we have a little clip on the bridge on Twisted Steel. It's basically just pre-aiming and using cover. As you see here, using hard cover, this tank, you can make use of the prone, you can make use of the crouch, you can spam crouch, you can sit behind bits of cover and make it work for you. Again, don't get too close to the tank because the fire on top will damage you, but sitting here is absolutely perfect. Now, in a situation like this, having god aim like Enders is kind of important because you can take down enemies quickly, and here you see another clip where he gets behind the enemies and does exactly that. But it's just important to make sure that you're limiting your exposure to enemy players. Using your secondary is also super important. As you see a clip here, Enders often goes for interesting clips, which sometimes you'll see players aren't very interesting to watch, but they get amazing scores. Other players are just all about clips. They don't get a great KD, but they get some really good clips in a match. Enders is kind of the mixture of the two. He gets great scores, great clips. Sometimes he might be able to get a better score if he's a bit more patient, but it's fun to watch. Using your secondary, though, is something that you'll often see him do for a few reasons. Switching out to the revolver guarantees you a one-shot headshot kill. The fastest time to kill in the game, hip-fire headshot. Nothing's really better than that, but high risk, high reward. It does take a bit of skill to hit one, especially on a moving target. It is a weapon, though, that most good players will use, and you'll see it throughout these clips. It's always a revolver. A revolver gives you that ability to just stop an enemy. The stopping power is really, really good. And it's just a great secondary. It's not your primary, it's a secondary. It's a weapon to switch to and rely on. If you run out of ammo, if you need to kill an enemy because you can't reload, it's the one to go for. Sure, if your aim isn't that good, maybe you could go for something different, maybe a Ruby pistol or M1911, whatever it is you want. But for me, the revolvers are king in Battlefield 5, and they were again in Battlefield 1. Really, really strong. Go back to Battlefield 3. Everybody uses the Rex or the Magnum. Incredible weapons for that stopping power. On the Operation Underground clip, you can see it's a 1 versus 4, 5, 6, however many players. This is all about the movement and the timing on the peaks. It's all about when to peek and then go back behind cover instead of standing there like a lemming just looking at people. He's crouching behind cover, peeking to the side. You see all the pros do it, and all the good players do it on pretty much every FPS game. It's about limiting how many people you are showing yourself to. It's a bit different. There's peeking around corners and trying to jump and make the movement work, but it's essentially what you need to do in order to stay alive in these really difficult moments on these high intensity games like Operation Underground, Conquest or Breakthrough or Grind, where there are just loads of enemies all around you. So we've taken a look at quite a few things in this video. We've taken a look at when to peek, looking after your angles, blind sides, making sure you're always in 1v1s, and if you aren't, making sure that you are limiting the amount of angles and positions the enemies can take up on you, making sure you use your secondaries and everything that you have in your arsenal whilst you're looking at the minimap and preventing enemies from getting angles on you. Instead of running out into the open, you're sitting behind your cover. And cover is probably the main thing to take away from this, that most people fail to use to their advantage in Battlefield 5. Hard cover is there to be found. It's not great, but you can use it to dominate. There are a few other things that I do go on about that I see a lot of people not using, and Enders is one of those players that might want to look at improving it. I don't know. I didn't really see a lot of it in this gameplay. Squad call-ins, always dropping in your squad call-in for your team, using the smoke, using the artillery. He obviously does that, but is it something that people could maybe do a little bit more? I'm not too sure. Saving up for a V1 is sometimes, though, essential. The last flag on Iwo Jima. You need a V1 to clear it, or artillery to clear it so you can get onto there. It's all about understanding what you have at your disposal. So that's the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, leave a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave a dislike. You can check out Ender's channels and his socials down in the description below. Well worth checking out if you're looking for high tier gameplay. He streams regularly and he's looking to start his YouTube channel, which might already be live, with more videos being posted on there on a regular basis. So worth checking out if you like your Battlefield stuff and your good infantry gameplay. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.